Eh, White privilege. White privilege is a scam because at the end of the day, when it comes down to brass tacks, all white privilege programs come down to somebody needs to fund ... What this means, somebody. So what are we talking about? Is this something that comes out of municipal bonds? So once again, a city or a locality or a state has to go and borrow money from somebody else to pay for some like classes for who the staff of something. So this bureau member doesn't understand that their lack of melanin makes people with melanin's life harder in some way. It's very complicated. You have to find this out. You have to go to the special training for this. That somewhere there is like a bricklayer that at some point is going to have to go like sit and watch like a movie for 20 minutes. Because that his firm wants to make sure he understands that when he's laying brick that he's not doing it in a racist fashion with much privilege. So what I started to think about was something that HBD Chick and J-Man have brought up about any human behavior that you're like, yeah, what? That is so nuts. Why would anyone be involved in this? How are they attracting so many people? Because this can't really just jump out at them as just a wickedly awesome scam. Like, oh, I could totally get paid selling this shit, And then I was like, whoa, that's it. It's like a Flannery O'Connor character. Finally something of Flannery O'Connor. I finally have found a reason why anyone should read Flannery O'Connor. It's a part of being a religious cult, but it's not just so much that, it's a part of the scam of selling Bibles, selling missalettes, curio shops, so like selling, hoodoo amulets and tarot cards and, because that's always yeah. And so I was like, whoa. And now keep rolling backwards because now you're starting to pull on something. These would be people who would be like out of a Monty Python scene. That you are doing something on what little property you're allowed in your villiane, you're trying to corral the hens or something because the neighbor's hound dog is always, menacing them and so you're trying to get them behind your whatever in some makeshift coop or whatever. And along comes this person and you're like, oh, bugger, like, oh, what do they want now? Like, oh, blah, 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 Sheridan, you must chant these words back to me, and it's, what? And ask no questions. I am guilty of being white, and that you must, these people have always existed. They'll whip you with a rosary if you don't chant it back to them. This whole idea of like that, this keeps centering around education. It's not something that shows up in industry, in an industry that makes something for money and for profit. It doesn't show up there because it's not necessary. It in no way, shape, or form actually makes people perform better. That's why it has to be forced in. Who does it have to be forced in by? It has to be forced in by these people who mostly are making their money off of the public sector by espousing this new kind of cultish gibberish that about how white people are this way and white people are that way. White people do this and like black people do this and like white people do this and black people do this and and it's like and and I started really thinking about it. I'm like, no, the reason why we're dealing with these people this way is because we know this is a bred for thing. There's a bunch of us who have been bred in an environment where there is a clipboard, a professional clipboard. They are always checking off everything once it is up to snuff. We associate this with henpecking, effeminacy. This is not feminine. That's effeminate. That then it's fundamentally an unhealthy thing. Nobody likes this kind of person. No one likes that kind of behavior. It's a form of control where it's not feminine, where it's like the love of your mother, and that you do something because your mother is so kind and so nice, and you're so warm, and it's such an intoxicating feeling of true parental love that you go and get her things. You go to the store because she didn't get this, so you go and you get it for her, because you just don't want her, she's going to want it later, and she won't do this and she won't do that because she doesn't have this, and it will upset her whole plan. No, so you want her to be happy. This isn't, no, this is effeminate, where this is not up to standard. I want you to do more, and it's irritating. And that's why people don't like it. It's bossy. It's not really, it's bossiness. And so these people get to be the high priestesses and high priests, because you see the white privilege scam is very popular among overweight women who work in the public sector, work especially at community colleges, universities. See it a lot with chunkers and HR, stuff like that, and it's because it's a scam. These are the kind of people who are fooled into things like that. They're a little bit bright. Now, this doesn't mean that they can create things. You see, that's a dedication of the nervous system, the neuromuscular system, really in a dedication of the hardware to other stuff, to all the things it takes to properly fashion and hewn and place and implant and do all the stuff like to make the shit we use, to make the places we live in and operate in. They have to dedicate energy to that. They don't have time to dedicate energy to how am I going to cast a spell on a group of rubes to believe that that at the end of the day they actually have some form of great privilege for going to work and working at it for money, as they agreed with their employer, who they had no idea what color this person was until they applied for the job. And so all of this is a scam to jive the rubes into giving a bunch of mostly women, oddly, this is just one of these, a lot of Ashkenazim, you see a lot of Ashkenazim in the white privilege scam crowd. Just saying. It's one of those things that, just like all these people who are so mad that, why aren't you buying more? Why aren't you paying me? I type for a living. It's kind of certain groups historically that have always thought they could tell other white people what to think. And now what's happened is that there's a level of intelligence and this is one of the key things liberals don't get. Rich, smart people don't always stay rich and smart. Their kids sometimes gravitate toward the mean because the mean intelligence might rise. People don't always consider this. That because of the demands of the society, that the mean might rise, that there's people who they can't even operate in our society. Well, they're kind of they kind of leave, they're homeless, they're considered incapable in some way. They're deemed incapable. We set them aside. Women won't breed with them. They obviously can't do most of the things other people can do, so women won't breed with them. So eventually you don't have people of that level of low intelligence. It's just the natural way. It's just the sheer how life functions. Our society is incredibly complicated, so there will come a point, it will become unbelievably obvious how dumb some people are. And I mean, we're already starting to really see this, that there's some populations that within very little time, what was a road upward suddenly leveled off real hard. And that you could sometimes capture this, that there will be literally a weird twang or accent that you'll hear that you're like, why does that person have that strange twang or accent? No, that's their tribal identifier. They are in their environment. If they are giving you this indication that this doesn't apply to where I live. This is a specific accent that is affected by people who are in my thing, in my tribe, in my group. And that I want other people to know that. Because I don't want to adapt myself to you, which would be a sign of generally higher intelligence. Not adapting to other people, not being able to understand your neighbor's norms. That's the lower end. That's where people they have to gravitate toward their tribal norms, and they stick around a lot of their tribe. They don't have a wide and disparate field of friends with all that are especially in a time like now with the internet, that it's widely spread and disparate with people who are very unlike one another here and there. But as time goes on, one would understand, oh, this is the interest that they share. This is the ideology or the principles that they share. Interesting. No. When it's tribal identification, it's like, oh, no, that makes sense. They all dress the same. That makes sense. They all look kind of alike. That makes sense. They're all into specifically this type of subculture, art form, whatever. And they're a tribe. And yeah, that's it. So what I think one of the key things about white privilege is that there are people that they want to affect, especially a tribe. They want to join into the smart tribe that tells the dumb white people, give us your money. You're the dumb white people who have grit under your nails. You're the dumb white people who have dedicated your lives to ardor. Well, we're the white people who we have dedicated ourselves to very high levels of understanding how much you owe all the blacks and Native Americans and a good portion of Latinos, but don't worry about that. That's a totally different bag of tricks, and it is something that I think it does. It's as if it's a Monty Python scene where all these people have built this temple, and the high priest and high priestesses, they all stand on the portico, said, welcome to the temple, now go home, you unwashed brutes. You disgust us, and that's really, that's kind of what this is. Welcome to college, you unwashed villains, disgusting plebes. Now we will purify you of, like, why we even let you in this place, you Nazis. You passed all these exams, but obviously the problem really is that you're a fascist. And so we're going to whip you with these white privilege classes and beat you, beat your heritage into the dirt. We're going to gangbang, your living memory and the wisdom of that you've inherited, because, well, we're con artists, and motherfucker gotta get paid, and so that's really what this is about. This is just a priesthood. This is just a priestesshood. These are just scammers, con artists, and weirdos, and a lot of these people know this at a certain level. They know they're con artists. They fear having to shovel dirt. You see, doing yard work and working on the house that the scam has paid for is very satisfying. Having to work on somebody else's yard so that one day you will own property. Well, that's hard work. That's hard work. And that's not their bag. That's not what they do. They're not suckers. No, the suckers are all these people with white privilege. Pay up, motherfuckers. That's what it's about. Fuck you. Pay me. Oh, you won't pay me. Well, I'll figure out a way of getting that money from you somehow. And that's what the deal is, especially the reparations. All of this, because it's either going to be on credit or it's going to be stealing from something that's fundamentally operating on credit, because most of the economy is operating on credit. So stealing from Peter to pay Paul, even if it was right in the first place. So that it's all crapola. It's the rats. As the ship is sinking, it's these rats. They're not bailing out the bilge. These are rats biting at you as you try to right the mast, as you try to save the bosun from going over. These rats biting at all of us. Filth and garbage. Filling the buckets as you try to bail out the bilge. As you try to seal hatches. Fiddling with it, getting into your hands. Jumping up on your head. Rats.